Hi, I am so glad of making this video today because I have learned stuff, realized stuff, and just wanted to share what I'm feeling right now. And I feel like I have a lot to be grateful for and to reflect upon. So I'm going to do that in a video in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm going to try. I just got home. One of my closest friends invited me out to celebrate the fact that I completely and successfully finished my master's degree, and that officially defined the end of my studies. I'm obviously going to keep on staying upgraded and always being updated on stuff that I need to know, especially in the tech industry. Things progress a lot, so you do need to stay up to date, and I guess that mindset will never leave once you know how to learn and if you genuinely love what you do. In my case, for the longest time, studies were not so much something that I loved, it was something that I used to prove something to myself. And for the longest part, it was my sense of identity. I was always the good student, I was always the high. It's not to throw flowers at me, at myself, sorry, it's just that since my childhood, if there's one thing that was deeply ingrained in my soul was the fact that in order for me to love myself, I needed to have a reason. And that reason was that I could achieve what I set myself to do. And at the time, I started life wanting to become a princess. I'm not joking with you guys. I had a beautiful childhood, and one of the things that I consumed as a child was very useful movies, but one of them was Disney princesses. So I loved the whole concept of, I found them kind, I found them very endearing and courageous, and I loved their femininity. The form of femininity that was portrayed didn't bother me at the time. I found it quite courageous. Be kind, forgiving, being loving, and being able to be creative and have a sense of self too. I saw that growing up. And then growing up, I started to have another objective. Around the age of 6, 7, I set myself the goal of becoming a doctor. So from my 7th birthday to down up to my 16th to 17th birthday, that was never a question. I always knew what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. So I morphed my entire personality around becoming the best candidate to enter medical school. So the sports I was picking, the time I was investing on subjects I didn't like, but I knew that, hey, math is important, science is important, being calm is important, so you could listen better to the teacher, or at least you would have better appreciations. Because I, at a very early age, in my country, I'm French, so I grew up in France in my early days. I had years, I was born in France and I had time to travel growing up, meaning that my sense of education was, the basics was in Africa, which gave me a lot of advantage, a leg up in everything, because my discipline and the way I pick up on stuff. You have to understand that the African study system is extremely, extremely, extremely high level. Guys, it's not a joke. You cannot slack around, you cannot slack off in Africa. Okay? Those basics were everything. And me, when we went back to my hometown in France, I was so ahead of all of the other children. I actually, yeah, I had fun. I had fun, and I was doing like everybody else in a sense. When I was still in my princess superhero kind of era, I wanted to be that. I wasn't too aware of why did I need to be serious at school. Anyway, it was easy. I achieved that. It's okay. But since I got my new objective, when I went to school, it was a day for me to get closer to my objective. So you have to understand that I started to live life with a high objective at hand, in mind, that was not necessarily something that was based on what I liked and what I was really good at. I was always a creative person, I was always a social person, but I set myself to love math and science, but with the lens of wanting to achieve a certain stuff, not necessarily finding the beauty in that. I learned the beauty uh, along the years, but you have to understand that I've always tried to do, it's already 6 minutes, I've always tried to do a lot of hard stuff and stuff that were not natural to me based on an objective. So I grew up achieving what I set myself to achieve. I grew up being very mature and looking at the world around me and being very aware of what I didn't want to become, and the very subtle incoherence that adults, I would see it at school, I would see it among strangers. I observed a lot. I learned the beauty and the skill of being a careful and attentive listener and being quiet. When you are quiet, you have a superpower. A lot of people confuse being timid with being quiet. When you are an observer and you know when to speak and how to speak, it will give you a lot of strategic advantages. And that helped me a lot throughout my adolescence, throughout my childhood actually, to get away with a lot of stuff and be safe too. But as an adult, something that slightly grew was that sense of insecurity, because the moment the plan was not as expected, when I realized at the age of 16, 17, because I was in the hospital internship that I spent a year getting, actually, I emailed every single doctor that you could possibly think of in London, because there was a point of time I actually lived in London. This is where I became a woman, guys. My sense of identity was in London, not in France. It's important to note. So the system was different. It was more based on what you would like and what you would like to study. It's not so general as in France. In France, the way you would actually get your A levels, you would definitely have a path, but it's more general, right? Whereas in London, if you knew you wanted to become a doctor, you knew that you had to pick up chemistry, you had to pick up biology, and the third would logically be maths, but that didn't necessarily have to be if you had already good grades. It's just an entire other system. And depending on the medical school you wanted to get into, some subjects were mandatory, others not so much. So I picked the things that were mandatory. But something very weird happened. God put me in various situations where I started to get into tech little by little. I went back to France, short forward. I, in London, realized that I didn't want to become a doctor. For the longest part, it made sense to me. But now I was afraid. For the first time in my life, I was faced with the urgency of knowing what I wanted to do. I needed to know. Finding out what I wanted to do and picking up a course that would set me up for the rest of my life. Guys, that was the scariest period of my life, because from 16, 17 up to 27 years old, I was highly confused. I was lost. And what happened during that period of confusion? I tried so many things. It was scary, but I did it afraid. I moved out in cities afraid. I studied stuff that I didn't know anything about, afraid. I started to get into tech at a time where tech was not even a thing to think of in France. People didn't necessarily understand my choices, but I started to, at the time, I wanted to do something that resembled me, that was a bit creative, but I knew I needed to have some kind of hard skill knowledge, so web development, things like programming, coding was important to me at the time. It was at the time, guys, not everyone was on this path, guys. It was more of the geeks and people who had parents or family in those industries. Then, you could see that things have changed lately, right? Now everybody want to do, they know that it's the future, so not everybody's pushing their children to those fields. But at the time, guys, if you were not a lawyer, if you were not a doctor, if you, I don't know, if you were not in those fields, you were not, what are you doing, kind of. And here I was, in those courses back in France, trying to figure my life out, adulting, and I started to live alone very quickly. I started to work for myself very quickly. I started to take my journey as a Christian very seriously, and here I was, fast forward, living by myself in Paris, figuring life out, surviving, making sure that I was living the student life, but still keeping myself afloat and trying to figure out a lot of stuff, your identity, social life, just a lot of things were going on, guys. And throughout this entire thing, something that was very common was the sense of polarity. I've had the blessing to ask around the people that I admired, the people that were in the fields or the industry I wanted to to try, not as something serious, but something that I could do on the side. Because the more I progress in life, the more I realize that no matter how safe I wanted to be in my choices and stuff, I want to create. I want to at least, I don't want to be betraying the creative part of me. And something that was very consistent throughout my entire life was my desire to vlog and my desire to put myself out there online. And it was something that I was ashamed of doing. When I started my junior year at university, I remember there were some assignments that would enable me to basically explore that side, and I remember being a little bit shunned and mocked when I was really into that girly, very vlogish. Like I had a mood board, and I knew what I wanted to create at the time, but it was not so popular in my class, and it was mocked. I talked about it very passionately during presentations, and I will never forget the smirks and that I received. But they were not even the target demographics, but I let myself be discouraged by that, and I realized that I based my entire childhood and my teenage years on a path that looked, I nobody asked me for that. Even my mother never put pressure on me to be a certain person, but I remember thinking that I needed to pick up that role in order for myself to be assured that I was a person of high value. And on top of that, I learned very later on that my mom was just wanting me to be happy, and that people who care about me don't care about the fact that I am that they just want me to be happy and safe. I learned that way after I made all the mistakes I needed to make, and those mistakes were actually blessings, because now my resume and things I studied are, they set me apart, guys. But I suffered throughout that, because I was not doing it out of a place of exploration, but by serendipity. Serendipity is a word that is literally defines my entire life. I was just picking up on information on things that made sense, and I knew was, oh, so this has potential, let's do that, because that pays well. This is a hard skill. This is something that I put myself in situations where it was always something that I didn't know how to do, but that taught me to just get on with it. Just sit down and work and do your best. It worked sometimes, it didn't work as much other days, not because I couldn't, but because I was not pouring into myself. And I couldn't give anymore. I reached a point in my 20s where I started to be very tired. Very tired. During pandemic, of course, but after pandemic, guys, it was worse. And I will make another videos, another series on how to navigate that period, because I can successfully say that I've had the best 20s ever. I'm 28 right now, and I just feel like life has just begun, and I'm so proud. I can generally look at myself right now filming this video, and I thank myself and I thank God for all all the maze, like the maze I went through, it gives me so much confidence, guys. I'm so confident right now in all the mistakes and all the things I will try to explore, because right now I can't even see them as mistakes anymore. They were just another opportunity. I learned so many things. The hard times, there were days that was really hard, guys. There were days that were a lot happier, and I think my perspective could have changed my experience. It could have improved my experience, because at the time I didn't afraid but anxious, because my perspective was very limited and negative. Now that I completed my studies in the field, that I will give you another video on my full story, guys. But the degree I just achieved today, the email I received telling me, hey, excellent, you passed. I didn't just pass, guys, I excelled in this. I was thinking to myself, there was years before, the old me would live only for that email and that moment. Now I've grown so much, and I realized so much about myself, about life, that I realized that was just a confirmation of who I was as a person. That was just a confirmation of how I changed as a person. But that paper did not define me at all. It definitely will open doors, obviously, but the way I would get onto life and the way I project myself, the way I communicate with others, that's actually what makes me, not that master's degree. And now I realize that now that I have it, now that I passed it, I can say that easily, right? Before, I used to really hate those people who would have the things that you are lacking of and telling you, you don't need this. Now I understand what they mean. I really do. Society will make you feel like you need to achieve certain stuff to get to where you need to be. I think if you can crack the code of being able to believe in yourself so much that you understand that you can do the best with what you have because of a perspective, and what you need to learn, what you lack, what you really need to put your mind into is learning the things that are missing. If you are not lazy, if you are ready to be humble enough to ask around for help, for knowledge, for wisdom in the era of the internet, our generation, Gen Z, even millennials, you guys, we have no excuses. And even the generation of my mother, my grandmother, you guys have the opportunity now. The way I see you on the internet, you guys are owning it right now. Come on. You can learn anything. There is no such thing as too late. There is no such thing as a laid out path. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody. I realize that the people who usually get ahead in life, there are people who live life to the fullest. And living life to the fullest just meaning they are sitting with themselves. They don't run away. If they need to go through the painful times, they will go through it. I do believe that you could not go through life alone. And what will make or break whether or not you will make it in life is how well, I'm going to be honest, your community. If there's at least one good soul that can pull you out when you can't, this will save you. If you do not have that person right now, those people right now, that community right now, not only I will pray for you, but I will also tell you, in the era that we live in, you can find it online. I just want you to understand that when you lack energy and force, there are other human beings who may not do exactly what you are looking for. You can become that person by picking up the pieces that other lives have left for you to follow. Me, as I'm a Christian, so I rely a lot on my faith and the Bible and God to get me through a lot of stuff that didn't make sense to a lot of people around. Today, they're following me. But when I realized I did it afraid, I did it with faith, but my faith was not based on nothing. My faith was based on evidence. My faith was based on actions. I chose to do it afraid every day. Not making sense, not waiting for the right reason or the right moment. God, I've been faced with myself, through others, through enemies, through my friends. I don't even have enemies, but I was always put in situations where God allowed me to see who I was as a person, what I needed to change, what I needed to improve, and also what I already had in me. Now I'm starting to believe it, but not because I just believe it. It's because time and time and time and time again, it was confirmed. I have qualities, I have flaws, but I show up. I just show up. I show up at life. And I'm grateful for those who also show up. I want to encourage, I pour love. I choose to forgive, not because I genuinely let go, but because I understand that there is a process to everything. I choose to forgive myself. I choose to forgive others who have hurt me. I choose to also learn from my own mistakes. I try to be real with myself. I grieve. I rejoice. I celebrate. Today I was about to sleep on the day I received a very good news, something that I worked for the past 2 years, and actually I failed so many times on my academic journey. Now, hey, I made it, and I was about to sleep. My friends wanted to celebrate. Like two of my girlfriends wanted to celebrate. Like these two girls, amazing souls, just said, "Hey, let's do it." They just welcome me, say, "Throw on your hoodie, just come as you are, and we're waiting for you in Paris." And I had the best time. We had the best time. We had we had beautiful. I tried so many new, beautifully flavored drinks. We went out to try a Korean pinsu. Yeah, so I tried to show like a picture. I don't know if I'm going to do an insert, but I had dessert. We talked for hours. We walked around in Paris. It was so chill. The weather was not too warm, not too cold. It's October. I was expecting it to be cold, but it was sunny. Um, yeah, we were praying together about our futures, like talking about our future crush. Like we were had that girly time. We had hopes for the future. We were planning on our next choreographies because we're all dancers. And I was just appreciating this beautiful day that God granted me. And I was about to just miss out on that because I wanted to sleep and watch Netflix. This is why I realized, guys, my biggest blessing in life is to make sure that I just lived enough to meet beautiful souls and people because I was vulnerable at the time of my life. Those girls saw me grow up. I saw them grow up too. We met, I studied the Bible during my studies. We met during our academic lessons of the Bible studies. Now we became, like, literally, I'm not kidding, guys. They are my sisters today. And we went through so much, like, but the fact that, hey, I call my family, my beautiful little sisters, my mother, my grandma, everybody. I call my family, tell them the good news. And I live far away from my family, guys. And my girl's just telling me, hey, we're celebrating. Just come out and we're going to pay and offer you good food and just have fun. This was little. I didn't see it as important. But the fact that in my heart there was something in me that just wanted to, make an effort, dress up and go was the best decision ever. I lived, guys. And this is what life is about. You will have time where you will have to work hard. You will have time where you have to grieve. You will have time. You need to take the time also to celebrate. I think my Generation Z, we need to take time to implement very valuable times in our lives. Celebrate, rejoice, think about your future, but do not stop from enjoying today, the present. I think our generation, we need to take back the time that we let being stolen from us. I could have rested at home, but what I've done today was a different kind of rest. And trust me, I'm an ambivert, meaning that I am not the kind of person who will need to go out every day to feel recharged. That will kill me, okay? But staying connected with my girls, I actually was very productive. I actually ordered my glasses. We had our stylish fashion. Like, we had the best time. Productive, cute, sisterhood, ate good food, talked about our future, talked about next choreography. We encourage each other. We share the same values. We all are Christians, but we are not hypocrites. Like, we are just real human beings with our flaws, and we're trying to be our best. And we love each other, and we love who we are and where we are in life, and we support each other. And I just wish you to have that for yourself. I hope you watching this video right now, you are encouraged by this video. I said I would want to talk for 5 minutes. it's clearly going to be a 30-minute video, it's going to be a podcast, I don't know. But I just wanted to express how much I, through my life, I lived to achieve a certain goal. Now I live life, and that is my only objective. I just want to explore life, and I don't want to regret anything. I want to celebrate the things that need to be celebrated, and the celebratory factor is me just enjoying the mundane. And I want you to do that too. I want you to restore value in understanding that the most valuable thing you will have is yourself and the beautiful people who love you for who you are. And if you are still on that journey, if you're finding those people is really hard, just know that it will just take time. It will take time. But in the meantime, just like myself, I found myself online. Why do you think I want to start a YouTube channel at the age of 14 and 13? Because I started to find my people online. And then I started to grow as a person and learn about the world through the internet. And I connected with a lot of genuine people online. This is how I got to grow as a person and pour into my faith. And then in real life, offline, I met my people. I met my girls. I met my brothers. I met my mentors. Guys, live life and look around. And the next time you want to say no, the next time you feel like, oh, it's just another day, no, celebrate it. Celebrate the fact that you were able to just wake up today and you were able to, do the laundry. For others, just celebrate the fact that, hey, you want to call your parents? Call them, tell them you love them. Your friend, ask them how they are, how they're doing. That parental figure you have in your life, the maternal fatherly figure that you have in your life, if you do not have your parents, anybody who made you feel close, human, and connected, contact them, call them up, say sorry, say thank you, and be proud of yourself. Today, I almost missed out on the opportunity to pat myself and say, well done. You did it. But thank you for the journey. Like, I'm more happy, not because of the email I received, but for the person you became. And thank you, girl. You became an amazing person, and I thank you for the maturity and all the things you went through, and the fact that you never gave up. You wanted to give up so many times, and you actually did. But thank yourself for not staying down. And I can make this kind of videos right now because it comes from a genuine place. I know how it feels like to feel lost and unsure. Today, I'm still not 100% sure of what's going to happen tomorrow. But I know I'm going to be fine. Not because I'm actually a dreamer, I own that, but because I know that there is no such thing as impossible. It's all about perspective, and I know how to work hard. That's not the problem. But the difference is now I'm going to do it afraid. And my anxiety, I have a system that will help me go through it. When I'm anxious, it's not always a pathology. Sometimes it's just a sign that I need to talk it out. And now I have gathered up the courage to be humble enough to ask for help and still be dignified. I know how to be adult enough to pull myself together, but also know when I need help. And there is no such thing as being too adult or too old to do something, too young to do something. We only need each other, and I think the most powerful resource you will have is your ability to connect with yourself and others and ask for help when you struggle. There will always be someone ready to help you, no matter who you are, how you have, what you have done. There will always be somebody ready to help you. And as a Christian, of course, I will always share with you what has worked for me. My relationship with God has been what has genuinely been my success factor, my happy factor. It was not a self-help book. It was not a particular word, particular person. It was consistency in my relationship with God. And it was not perfect. It was so ugly, guys. It was so bumpy, but this is how I got to know what true love was. And I'm going to make sure to be very detailed about how I go about these days I think the best service I can do to you is not procrastinate on shooting videos like that. It's long. I understand that in this generation where people want to have everything fast, they could not, go past 6 seconds videos. I do believe that there are some people who sometimes just want to do the dishes and clean out their room, and they're just maybe at 3 a.m. watching a video, and maybe they needed to stumble across that video 30-minute long, but I hope it will help you. And yeah, I genuinely want you to drink water right now, eat some kind of vegetable or fruits, mind your business, and never forget to pray. Okay? Bye. I'll see you in the next video.